Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as a speaker, I will delve you into a thought-provoking discussion on climate change that affects us all, shedding light on key insights and offering valuable perspectives that will undoubtedly captivate and inspire us all. So firstly, what is climate change? Climate change refers to significant changes in global temperatures and weather patterns over time. While the Earth's climate has always been changing, scientific evidence shows that human activities are currently causing the climate to change at an unprecedented rate. Meaning the activities of the people causes the climate change that we are suffering now. And these some activities are burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas for electricity, heat, and transportation is the largest single source of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's why burning of things is prohibited because that is also the cause why we are suffering to a climate change. But we know that we Filipinos tend to burn something to prevent or to get rid of mosquitoes, and that is still not good. Another activity is deforestation. Deforestation is another major contributor to climate change, as trees absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and help regulate the climate. An example of this is still Filipinos, specifically here in our province, Molave. Other people cut more trees in mountains and do not know how to plant more for what they have gotten. And this is what we call it the effect of deforestation that causes flooding in lower parts of the areas and causes the people and animals to evacuate in a higher area that is safe. Move on to another topic of climate change. The first one is consequences of personal and local actions on climate change. The second one is contribution of production and consumption habits to global warming. And the third one is barangay resolutions to address local issues on climate change. Firstly, consequences of personal and local actions on climate change. Climate change is not just a distant problem, it's happening right here, right now, and our daily actions play a significant role. So, the consequences we are still practicing are the following. The first one is transportation. Personal vehicles contribute to greenhouse gas emission, worsening air quality and accelerating climate change. The local impact is increased traffic congestions leads to higher emissions and air pollution, affecting respiratory health in our community. An example of this is mostly of our vehicles here are driven with exhaust, wherein the smoke from the inner machines of the vehicles will come out. So these types of transportations are not good for our health and society. From the air that we inhale is not a pure carbon dioxide. It has a smoke from every other transportations or coming from the cigarettes or whatsoever that has a smoke. Next to transportation is energy consumption. Over-reliance on fossil fuels for electricity and heating fuels global warming. The local impact is high energy consumption strains local resources and drives up costs for residents, especially during peak demand periods. Meaning, this refers to the amount of energy used by individuals, organizations, or countries for various purposes such as heating, cooling, transportation, lighting, and industrial processes. It is a crucial metric that reflects the level of economic activity. technological advancement, and environmental impact of a particular region or sector. So next one is waste management. Improper waste disposal, including littering and landfilling, release methane and potent greenhouse gas. The local impact is overflowing landfills emit harmful gases, contaminate soil and water, and contribute to local environmental degradation. This one is so understandable, right? We already knew about this, but we still practiced it. So, this is why we have segregated trash cans for us to separate all the trash that can be reduced, reused, and can still be recycled. Mostly of the Filipinos teaches their child or children how to be good to our environment, but sadly fact is that even themselves do not follow what they have taught to their children sometimes. So, I encourage everyone to be more mindful of their responsibilities as living in the environment they are staying. Next, deforestation. Clearing land for agriculture, urban development, and logging destroys natural carbon sinks, exacerbating climate change. The local impact is loss of green spaces reduces biodiversity, disrupts ecosystems, and diminishes natural resilience to extreme weather events. So this is the same with what I have discussed a couple of minutes ago about deforestation and its effect of practicing this kind of activity. So more likely, this can destroy our homes and can cause to evacuate higher areas just to be safe. But we cannot deny the fact that there are some animals or persons that are have been lost, or shall we say it, dead gone, for what have deforestation gave a problem to our society and environment. Lastly, water usage. Excessive water consumption, coupled with poor management practices, intensifies droughts or dryness and water scarcity. The local impact is decreased water availability affects agriculture, livelihoods, and overall community well-being, amplifying socioeconomic disparities. So water droughts and etc. is one of the effect of having climate change in our earth. So that is why climate change always reminded us people to be more good and to do good for us to bring back the weather that we have years ago before climate change occurred. So, our personal and local actions directly influence climate change and its consequences. By adopting sustainable practices and promoting environmental stewardship, we can mitigate this impact and build more resilient future for our community. So now, let's discuss about the topic of mitigating the consequences, personal and local actions on climate change. While personal and local actions contribute to climate change, they also hold the key to mitigation and adaptation strategies. The first one is sustainable transportations. These encourage walking, biking, and the use of public transportation to reduce carbon emissions from personal vehicles. Invest in infrastructure for electric vehicles and promote carpooling to decrease traffic congestion and air pollution. So this one is hard because people are more likely to buy more expensive transportations And this is also a way on how other people identify our life status. So, like in other countries, they are more on walking than to drive motorcycles or cars. It is because they are also trying to mitigate the cause of climate change. So, hopefully, here in the Philippines, we can practice more on walking, biking, and to use public transportations to reduce the carbon emissions from personal vehicles. Second is energy efficiency. Implement energy saving practices at the household and community levels, such as using energy efficient appliances and insulating buildings. Transition to renewable energy source like solar and wind power to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and lower carbon footprints. So energy efficiency can help us to save energy power from our country and also to stop the reliance fossil fuels just to have energy sources. So what is renewable energy? Renewable energy is created through the use of naturally occurring resources that replenish themselves over time. The third one is waste reduction and recycling. Implement comprehensive waste management programs, including recycling, composting, and waste to energy initiatives. Educate residents on proper waste disposal methods and the importance of reducing single use plastics and packaging. So we need to change the practices on using single-use plastics or packaging into new. We can use eco bags for more uses or even paper bags. The fourth one is reforestation and green spaces. To promote tree planting initiatives and protect existing forests to sequester carbon dioxide and enhance biodiversity. Create and maintain green spaces within the community to improve air quality, regulate temperature, and provide habitat for wildlife. So, trees are essential for our daily lives because we can get a peaceful and natural eyesight from here, to have a good temperature to the environment, and to give habitats to the wildlife like lions, tigers, giraffe, and etc. So the last one or the fifth one is water conservation. Implement water saving measures such as rainwater harvesting, efficient irrigation techniques, and the use of water efficient appliances. Raise awareness about water conservation practices and the importance of preserving freshwater ecosystems and sources. So, in rainwater harvesting, we can reuse this one as to pour the plants with water, especially when days have gone without rain. So, we need to be mindful on how will we reuse the water, that we have to have a healthy environment. Even in the irrigations or in the seas, we need to clear out all the trash out on the sea to have the chance in saving our earth. So, mitigating the consequences of personal and local actions on climate change requires collective efforts and sustained commitments. By adopting sustainable practices and implementing targeted interventions, we can reduce our carbon footprints and build climate resilience in our communities. So, in the next topic is contribution of production and consumption habits to global warming and climate change. So our production and consumption habits have a significant impact on the environment, contributing to global warming and climate change. So the first one here is consumption patterns. So overconsumption of goods and resources leads to increased production, energy use, and greenhouse gas emissions. Fast fashion, electronic gadgets, and single-use plastics are prime example of unsustainable consumption practices. So the second one here is food production and agriculture. Industrial agriculture practices, including intensive livestock farming and monoculture crops, contribute to deforestation, soil degradation, and methane emission. Food waste along the supply chain further exacerbates carbon emissions and environmental degradation. Then the third one is energy production and consumption. The extraction, processing, and burning of fossil fuels for energy production are major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. High energy consumption lifestyles driven by excessive use of electricity, heating, and cooling amplify carbon footprints. So, by preventing these reasons, we can gain and give contribution to our environment to nurture and give reasons to live. The fourth one is manufacturing and industry. Industrial processes such as manufacturing, mining, and construction release greenhouse gases and pollutants into the atmosphere. Extractive industries like mining, logging contribute to habitat destructions, biodiversity loss, and ecosystem degradation. So, we need to lessen the practices and prohibit the activities that can give us the effect of climate cycle change for us to live on peacefully and harmoniously. Every day, we need to put into our mind that our earth is the only place to live on. How about when the time comes that the earth surrenders? Where will we live? And where will we get food? And lastly, the fifth one is transportation and logistics. The global transportation of goods and materials, fueled by fossil fuels, emits significant amounts of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. Inefficient transportation systems and long supply chains further increase carbon emissions and environmental impact. So, our production and consumption habits are closely intertwined with global warming and climate change. Adopting sustainable consumption practices, promoting circular economy principles, and supporting eco friendly alternatives are crucial for mitigating environmental impacts. And moving to our last topic, which is barangay resolutions to address local issues on global warming and climate change. So, local governments, including barangays, play a crucial role in addressing the impact of global warming and climate change within their communities. The first one is implementing waste segregation programs. Enact barangay ordinances mandating the segregation of waste at the source to promote recycling, composting, and proper disposal practices. Provide education and resources to residents to ensure compliance with waste segregation guidelines and reduce the amount of waste sent to landfills. The second one here is promoting community gardens and tree planting initiatives. Allocate space for community gardens and green spaces to promote urban agriculture, improve air quality, and enhance biodiversity. organize tree planting campaigns, and encourage residents to participate in reforestation efforts to mitigate the impact of deforestation and land degradation. The third one is advocating for renewable energy sources in barangay projects. The third one is advocating for renewable energy sources in barangay projects. Advocate for the integration of renewable energy technologies such as solar panels and wind turbines in barangay infrastructure projects and facilities. Partner with government agencies, non-profit organizations, and private sector stakeholders to secure funding and technical support for renewable energy initiatives in our barangay community activities. The fourth one is educating residents on climate smart practices. Organize workshops, seminars, and educational campaigns to raise awareness about climate change, its local impacts, and practical solutions. Provide training on climate smart practices such as water conservation, energy efficiency, and sustainable agriculture to empower residents to take actions. Then, lastly, strengthening disaster preparedness and resilience. Develop barangay level disaster preparedness plans that incorporate climate change adaptation strategies and risk reduction measures. Invest in infrastructure improvements, early warning systems, and community-based disaster response mechanisms to enhance resilience to extreme weather events and natural disasters. In conclusion, barangay resolutions are essential tools for addressing local issues related to global warming and climate change, promoting sustainable development and building climate resilience. By implementing these resolutions, barangays can contribute to broader efforts to mitigate the impacts of climate change and create more sustainable and resilient communities. There is hope. By taking actions now, we can reduce our carbon footprints and help mitigate the impacts of climate change. Let us work together to create a more sustainable and resilient community. Thank you for your attention and commitment to tackling climate change. Let us remember always, small changes makes a big difference. Thank you.